Berlin. It's a city that's been devastated by war and politics in the past century. Despite all of this, it's going to be one of the most vibrant and exciting cities in Europe. In this video, I spent 48 hours in the city to see what makes it so special.
Just arrived in Berlin. I've never really visited Germany before. I've been on day trips to like Frankfurt and Dortmund, but this is my first time I'm sort of spending a couple of days in Germany, so quite excited. Berlin is supposed to be a very historical city. It's been through a lot in the last 100 years, so yeah, very excited to be here and see what it has to offer. I'm staying near a place called ALEXANDERPLATZ, which is like this massive square in the heart of Berlin, right by the Berlin TV tower, and that's where I'm going to start my holiday off. So here we are in Alexanderplatz. To the left of me over there we have the world clock, which is like this 24-hour clock which shows what time it is in various parts of the world. And then right here we have the Berlin TV tower, one of the most iconic sort of attractions within Berlin. We were planning to go up the tower, however it's 25 euros to go up to the observation deck per person. And the queue seemed pretty long. I feel like it's not worth queuing for that long and going all the way up to the top to maybe see a viewpoint for like 5-10 minutes, after which it'll get boring. So we're just gonna admire the TV tower from afar.
At this point in the video, my brand new mic decided to die on me. The problems of technology, eh? Essentially, me and my sister decided to walk down from Alexanderplatz towards Museum Island. As you can probably guess, the Museum Island in Berlin is known for being the home to a plethora of museums that were built by various Prussian kings in the 1800s. Despite their name, probably the most famous attraction on Museum Island isn't actually a museum. It's in fact the spectacular Berlin Cathedral that was sadly damaged during World War II. The cathedral was semi-restored in the 1980s and it's worth checking out along with the rest of the attractions on Museum Island.
The time is now 6 PM. It started to get pretty dark, and in fact it started to rain a bit as well, so I've had to whip out the hoodie. So I think me and my sister are going to grab some dinner and then head back to the hotel. Me and my sister are doing a separate food video of all the things we're trying in Berlin, a bit similar to what we did in Norway and Hungary and what my sister did in Sweden. So make sure you subscribe to see that. Hopefully we can give you some inspirational places to eat within Berlin. Good morning. Today is day 2 of my visit to Berlin, my first full day in the city and also my only full day in the city. As you can see, it's a lot warmer and sunnier today, so I've brought the shades out. I'm back at Alexanderplatz and I'm going to get the underground train. One thing I forgot to mention yesterday is that when you're in Berlin, you can purchase a city pass. The city pass comes with, and there's various different types of city passes, which go from about 50 euros all the way up to about 200 or 300 euros. The city pass basically is a pass that comes with free travel as well as entry into a number of attractions across Berlin. There's a few different passes available which give you free entry to differing attractions, and depending on which city pass you get, you can also get it from a certain amount of days. So I think the shortest is for like 1 day and it goes all the way up to 5 or 7 days. Because me and my sister don't plan to visit that many attractions, we decided not to get the city pass. So what we're going to do instead is just get a 24-hour travel card which costs 10 euros and you can use it on any train or metro or bus within Berlin. I wasn't able to buy the tickets online. However, a friendly local pointed out that we could actually buy the tickets on the local train app, which is called BVG. And on the app, an all-day sort of travel card was €9.50, so we saved about 50 cents. Our first stop of the day is to Reichstag, which is the German parliament that you can see in front of me. As you can see, it's a fantastic sort of neoclassical building that's been around for hundreds of years. It's pretty much been the German parliament for most of its history, apart from during the 20th century when, during World War II and during the split of Germany into East and West, it wasn't used as the parliament. As you can see, there's like a little dome at the top that was sort of added in like the last 20 years. Apparently you can visit it for free, so that's what I'm going to try and do right now. That mission failed pretty badly. I had a look online last week before I flew out, but unfortunately you're only able to make group bookings online as well as like bookings for guided tours that include the dome. But I did have a look at like various like blogs and sort of YouTube videos, and on there it said that you could come in person and make reservations on the day. However, upon turning up today, we found out that the reservations are fully booked up for the next 4 days, and we're flying back to the UK tomorrow. So yeah, it's not going to work out for us. Hopefully you guys have much better luck when you try to visit the Dome. I've reached that part of the trip where I get a postcard from each sort of city I visit, and I'm thinking of getting one of these two of the Brandenburg Gate, either the colourful one or the slightly dated one. The rest don't seem that great to me, so I'm going to go for one of these two. You know what? I think I'm going to go for the colourful one. It looks much prettier. Yeah, that's definitely the right choice. At the souvenir shop where I got my postcard, you can also buy a piece of the Berlin Wall. They go all the way from 15 euros over here to smaller pieces over there for 9 euros. Now you might be wondering why the wall has a bit of colour on it, and this is from all the graffiti that was painted on it. I don't know, personally I feel like owning the bit of the Berlin Wall seems a bit morbid, but I can understand why some people might be intrigued by it. Next to REICHSTAG is TIERGARTEN, which is this popular park. It surrounds a lot of like important landmarks within Berlin, and if you want to add a bit of nature to your Berlin trip, then definitely consider visiting this park. Ahead of me is probably the most famous and iconic landmark within the whole of Berlin, and probably one of the most iconic landmarks within Germany itself. This is the Brandenburg Gate. Most of you have probably seen pictures of this gate before. We're actually at the back of the gate right now, so I'm going to walk through in a bit and check out the front of the gate. But to give you guys a brief history lesson, this gate was built in the 1700s to replace a city gate that used to exist here. The gate was at the start of like a road that led from Berlin to the city of Brandenburg. And yeah, it's sort of like one of the main symbols of Germany, and often when celebrations and like national events happen, it happens right in front of this gate. As you can imagine, there's a lot of World War II and Jewish memorials all throughout Berlin, and I'm in one of them now, the memorial for the murdered Jewish people of Berlin.
So the memorial is made up of around 2,711 blocks, I believe. So you can see some of them here. They're all different sizes. Some of them are really long and massive like these ones, and they kind of been arranged in a nice regular fashion throughout. Now I'm not entirely sure what the basis of the design is. My artistic impression is that maybe it's representative of the mass graves of all the people that were killed sort of during the Holocaust, and it's just sort of meant to represent the sheer number of people that were killed, but it's not actually written anywhere, so I'm not 100% sure. But it is beautiful. It's very simple and elegant.
Ahead of me we have Checkpoint Charlie, which was one of the checkpoints through the Berlin Wall. You can see the sign that says US Army Checkpoint on the left over there, and then on the right there's a sign that says you're now leaving the American sector. So this sort of shows that this was sort of the West Berlin part of it, and then over there across the street was the East Berlin side. There's loads of memorials and remnants of the Berlin Wall dotted throughout the city. So I'd definitely recommend you checking one of those memorials out on your visit here. The Berlin Wall played such a fundamental part in like Berlin's history as well as Germany's history, so any visit to Berlin has to incorporate the wall in some way or the other. Next to Checkpoint Charlie there's a memorial dedicated towards the Berlin Wall. The pink line you see here shows the path of the Berlin Wall in Berlin and sort of gives an indication of how big it was and how it encompassed the whole city. It's quite fascinating to think that there was a time in recent history where something like this existed, splitting a country in half, and not even a country, a city in half, a city that has a unique culture and a shared history, just being split in half like this. It's just hard to imagine. And also over here you have a bit of the old Berlin Wall as well that's sort of been preserved to serve as a reminder of how Berlin was divided into. And yeah, like I said, I definitely recommend you visiting one of these memorials just so that you can truly appreciate how significant the Berlin Wall was. One thing I've noticed whilst walking around Berlin is that toilets don't seem to be free. Public toilets seem to cost money to go in, and I just walked to a McDonald's hoping to use the toilet for free. However, I had to pay 50 cents, which I've never had to do it in any other McDonald's in the world. So I don't know, and I don't know if this is the case just in Berlin or throughout the whole of Germany. So if you are in Germany, specifically Berlin, you might want to carry some change around with you just in case you ever need to go to the toilet. As I alluded to earlier, Germany has a plethora of museums that you can visit, and one of those museums is the Jewish Museum, which is right behind me. It's actually free to enter. All you have to do is make a reservation online to pick your time slot, which is what I've done. So yeah, I'm going to go inside, check it out. Probably won't be able to film much, but I'll give you guys a good detailed review afterwards. Just came out of the museum. It was a lot bigger than I thought it would be, considering it was free. It's a bit of a mix of a gallery slash museum, so there's like paintings of like famous Jewish people throughout history, as well as like artwork by Jewish people. There's also like lots of like scriptures and ancient artifacts that you can also see, so it's a big mix of stuff. We spent about an hour and a half there, and the only reason we left was because the museum was closing down. So you could easily spend 2.5 hours there, and by just taking your time and go through all the various exhibitions. Welcome to the final part of this Berlin video. Today's my last day in the city, and I've got a few hours to kill before my flight back to London. Once the Berlin Wall reopened, they demolished about 99% of it, but they've left a few bits as like a memorial to the dark past of the city. And I'm at one of those memorials today morning, the East Side Gallery, which, as you can guess, is on the eastern side of the Berlin Wall. Once the wall was reopened, the socialist government, like the communist government of East Germany, organised like a artwork competition. Well, it was not really a competition. Organised a project for artists all over the world to come and paint on the walls, as you can sort of see right behind me. And this is their way of sort of fostering peace and sort of rebuilding the unity between East and West Berlin. You can walk behind the wall to this open space, which gives you an idea of how the Berlin Wall would have looked like. So on the left you have the wall as it is, and then on the right, sort of by the tree line, would have been the second wall, and then this in-between space would have just been no man's land, and essentially the East Germans filled it with defensive measures to stop people of East Germany fleeing to West Germany. I've come to the Berlin Wall Memorial, which is another memorial dedicated towards the Berlin Wall. The actual wall's not here anymore, but they've got like these pillars in place where the wall used to stand, and there's also this cobbled thing on the street just over here, and they've got little dates of where the wall used to be as well, of what time period. And then on like that building over there, it's a famous picture of the East Germany soldier who jumped over the barbed wire that was sort of formed part of the wall in its early stages, and it's because of people like him that East Germany sort of increased the defences of the wall. And I guess that's the end of this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and hopefully I've given you some good tips of what you can do on your visits to Berlin. The 48 hours I've spent here has absolutely flown by, and Berlin might not be your sort of typical holiday destination when you think if you want like a relaxing holiday with nice beaches and nice weather and so forth, but from a purely historical aspect, it's definitely worth seeing. And if you're a self-confessed history geek like myself, then you just simply have to add it to your itinerary, to your bucket list. But yeah, I'm starting to feel a little bit ill now. I don't know if you guys can tell by my voice, so I'm going to keep this outro short. I hope you guys are doing well. Make sure you subscribe and do all that good stuff. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.